Hello there, my name is Richard. The first time seeing my channel, I used to review cartoon series, anime series, so something could be random, and today to be a forgotten cartoon segment that I usually do once a month. In this segment I have set of rules, not very complicated, very simple. Usually I just talk about animation, specifically when it lasted 1 to 2 seasons, maybe 3, and then that got cancelled. Although no, it was super popular, but some people sort of forgot it actually exists for some reason, or it was super part of a different country but it never landed here in the United States. One of those three usually is the reason why I reviewed this type of cartoon, because people don't actually talk about it. And today we're going to talk about something between lost media called Sammy. Sammy is one of those cartoons that is sort of interesting, and especially the best example in today why cartoons get cancelled for no apparent reason, for corporate reasons. In other words, I know I sound complicated, but it's a point that basically if the new owner of the company doesn't want to do with any new projects because it's not his projects, it's not his baby, they basically cancel it. And that sounds super familiar because what WB and Discovery are actually doing to all the cartoons. Once again, this sort of thing happens to a lot of forgotten cartoons. Not all of them, but quite a handful why it actually does it. But Sammy is one of those unique cartoons. People heard about it, but I'm not really sure it actually existed, because it did appear at NBC, at least the first 2 episodes, because on a contract, and that why made it so interesting. People actually saw it but don't really remember it. Be fair, I actually saw it, at least the first couple minutes, because it sort of blows my mind that NBC decided to do a cartoon. I thought the first time I actually watched it, doing the first showing of this on TV back in 2000, blew my mind. But I kind of forgot it because NBC completely erased this show actually existed. In fact, it even didn't sell to Adult Swim because Adult Swim sort of wanted this cartoon because they saw potential of this cartoon. But the most strangest thing, NBC didn't want to sell it. You thought, oh, they probably show it later on, maybe in the near future or something like that. No, they just bury it for no apparent reason. They actually, up to right now, back in 2022, we still don't have a statement why they buried this. Of course, lucky for us, some of the crew members, they saved the whole series on VHS and now upload it on YouTube for free. If you want to see it, go watch it. Just put Sammy, the cartoon, and you see all 13 episodes. Now the question is, this series actually is good. Some people, specifically people who like lost media, says the lost media part is interesting, not the project. You have to say, yeah, I can see that what you said, I understand, but honestly, I can see why the Adult Swim wanted this show, because Sammy has so much potential. One of the biggest examples is basically kind of like BoJack Horseman type of show mixed with King of the Hill. Yeah, very odd two things combined make Sammy. Now, the whole story of Sammy is basically a character called Jamie. Now, Jamie is that famous comedian, became actor, was success, this sort of rom-com that he pretend to be gay but he's straight, live in an apartment using his gay persona to get closer to his supermodel he obsessed with. But that was his job. He's an entertainer. After that, he's sort of wondering what to do. He's sort of aimless for a little bit till he found his father, and that is sort of the show what actually begins to make things interesting. Sort of a comical type of TV series, but Jamie, he's sort of disconnected. Like, he doesn't really know what he wanted. It's because for his father, Sammy is a father who is distant to Jamie. For in other words, he was a scumbag. Sammy, the whole point of the show, point out he is probably the worst father ever existed. He's a slimeball, he lies, he manipulates, he likes to scam people, especially his own family and his cheating wife. Yeah, this guy is not a good person. but he's sort of charming. You can see why he weaves himself into sort of situations and why a lot of women like him, because he has that sort of charm. Think of him sort of Barney from How You Met Your Mother. Yeah, that's sort of charming, but actually older kind of charming. That you can see Jimmy liking him, wanting him back, but of course he does see his BS. He does see his father is using him, but at the same time he wants his father to go back to his own life. That's sort of, I want this to be normal. I need to know my father, because it's sort of obvious Jimmy is sort of disconnected thanks to his own man abandoning him. Not just him, his other two brothers, Harry and Todd. All three brothers, when you meet them in the show, yeah, each one of them are kind of broken because of the father. For example, Gary, that he sort of hates his father, but every time he's trying to prove himself, he's a good dad, trying to be a better person. It's sort of, he wants you to know about it. He needs to know he is a good person, because what his dad did to him, he doesn't want to become him. But at the same time, he wants his approval. He wants to care about him. He's sort of needy, but at the same time compulsive. And sometimes you can see how broken he is. Even that he has success of his own business. He's an accountant. He has a good wife. His adopted son loves him. He is basically the perfect image of a citizen. A perfect citizen with flaws, because he's his own man. Before I forget, you got Todd, the youngest, that he is sort of basically the brainless one in the group. He's just the brawn, he's just strong and mean, but very soft spoken. He's a really nice guy, but he never really understand his situation because he's very simple. But once more, maybe he becomes simple because it's his old dad. But because the show only have limited 13 episodes, you only focus enough of him. But at the same time, you have enough to understand who is him, who is Tom, in other words. And that's why I feel this show is interesting, because it showed the relationship of each son, but each son knows his father is BS. He lies, he manipulates. But at the same time, you know Sammy, he is trying to be a good person, even that his motivation is selfish. He's one of those that he trying to become a good person by accident. But once more, everybody knows Sammy is a liar, a thief, a manipulator, a con artist. But something about the guy is sort of charming, especially his voice that can easily be broken into two different people, that you will like him or you will hate him because his voice, because he has that sort of Bill Clinton sort of gravelly, high-pitched voice that you can notice at the very beginning of the series, that the voice actor just doesn't get him right, because Sammy and Jamie is voice of the same person, Spade. If you don't know who that voice actor is, it's the guy who voiced the Disney movie called The Emperor New Groove. I think that's the only movie he actually voiced besides the TV series of Emperor New School. Yeah, he's the one who voiced the two main leads, but he tried to divide the two characters very differently. But the guy knows how to voice act, but he doesn't know how to manipulate his voice. So you can see him sort of struggling being his father and himself. Interesting enough, this show is based on space life. Of course, over exaggerated, but his relationship on his own father and his own family. Once again, this show also has sort of a wholesome kind of situation that you're trying to be together. Believe me, sometimes sort of surprised me how wholesome or how twisted this family really is. But to make things more interesting, they also put a lot of Hollywood politics. Like James, because he's an actor, he has to chat with other actors, other directors, getting more publicity, doing little small projects just to be noticed by the public eye, but he doesn't want to. And that's why his manager comes in, that his manager, James' manager, he's just so likable, interesting, because he's sort of not a good manager, because this is the manager only client is James, so he's trying to satisfy him wherever he can, whatever job he can have. But I love it, his manager also is sort of that cliche gay classic type of character that he's not yet realized he's gay, but everybody noticed. You think that would be cliche because of the 2000s, but no, that's the interesting part. This character is just so well handled. Have like little details make the character real. Not just him, every other character feels real because they add little things that is something you can usually brush off, but that little things make the characters seems real. Of course, this show was sort of a sitcom. They try not to develop that much, but they kind of do. Of course, Spec did say this series meant to be at least one season because usually cartoons always mistreated. But if they actually given it a chance, you can see this could be very rare. They have moments of the show they go sort of meta or sort of artsy sort of point of view, like one of the characters freaking out. You see all different point of view why he freaks out. You have this sort of mental breakdown. I'm not telling you which character. I'm just leave that sort of a surprise if you want to see the series. Now, do I actually recommend this series? I have to say yes, if you like BoJack Horseman, but be careful. Sammy's type of voice could be irritating to you or very likable, one or the other. That's the only flaw this show really has. Even that, you wanted more, you wanted development. In fact, if they decide to come back this series once again, becoming a brand new series like a reboot, this show has the ability to be streamed because it has so many technical things about this series to make it more streamable. But because you have the sort of cliche TV 2000s that had to be watched by episode, you cannot binge watch this series. Could be frustrating if you watch it binge watching style. I recommend it watch it by daily or bi-weekly. It's that sort of charming show that does stick to you. Even this series is just a time capsule. I mean, the music, it just throws you off because it's 2000 licensed music, kind of blows your mind like wow. Especially all the dialogue, the sort of the trends of that time period, it just compelled this show like a time capsule because it is. It's something is wow. Of course, because of this, it does have some triggering things if you're that type of person who goes to Twitter and complains about everything. Yeah, if you're that type of person, I do not recommend it. But you like me, you understand this is an old cartoon and some of the things are just sort of questionable. It's obvious, but it's still worth watching, yes. Now, anything else? Not really. Just one thing, maybe the art style is kind of unique by this show because the art is sort of like a sketch, sort of like a not sketch, almost like that comic book kind of Garfield sort of art style. That's what makes it sort of unique and refreshing. Nothing that just really sticks out of this show because it's just unique. Of course, this is meant for the adults because some of the humor, a lot of innuendo, dirty jokes, especially with Sammy because he's the type of character who just do at the dirty joke. But once more, this is made for mainstream, for the adults. So yeah, I recommend it if you don't mind the little things like that. You'll probably love this series. Now I got nothing else to say, just one question. Do you ever heard of Sammy? Do you want to see it? If you did see it, did you like it? Can you hit it? Tell me down below. Let me know. I got nothing else to say. Just thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and have a wonderful day. Bye.